On Conversations with Channelers, we answer questions that many of our viewers are curious about and share a platform that helps humans connect to spirit. Each channeler has their own unique way to bring through information. I am your host, Heidi Freilich. Welcome to our program. Hello, everyone. This is Heidi Robin, and we're here again today with another episode of Channelers or Conversations with Channelers. Today we have Anjie Carpenter Hipple on our program, and we're really excited to have her with us today. Hi, Anjie.
Hi, it's great to be here. So good to be here, Robin and Heidi. Thank you for having me.
Hi, Angie.
Yes, so we've been excited to talk to you. You want to give us a little bit of background? I was reading, you do a little bit of recording. Is that correct? You've done like a recording artist. You kind of want to tell us a little bit about what you do and how it all came to be?
Well, when Judah kind of crashed my life party, it's been a little over a year ago now. I have been a wife and mother of three. I was a school teacher, elementary school teacher for many years, and also a recording artist. I recorded 4 records and wrote a bunch of songs, and mostly used my gifts, my musical gifts in the Christian arena as a worship leader and speaking at different women's conferences and things. But about 6 years ago, I had a major kink in all my egoic plans. And now here I am doing something completely different and wonderful and miraculous with my life. But that's kind of my background. Mom, grandmother, wife, Christian fundamentalist, woman, speaker, songwriter, that thing.
Mm-hmm. When you were writing songs prior to becoming a channel, did you feel like that music was coming to you from somewhere else, like it was coming through you versus something that you were just kind of thinking up in your own head? Could you see that or not?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, long before I ever had an awareness of Judah, the entity that I channel, I think there was channeling going on. And I think that's true for all of us, right? Inspiration. But it's interesting that you tie it into the songwriting. I remember the song that I wrote that was the most famous of all the ones that I ever wrote. I had been just pondering a certain concept, and I woke up in the middle of the night one night, and as I woke up out of the sleep, I literally had sung the entire song, every verse and every line in my head, in my dream, and I just rolled over and scratched it out on a sheet of paper, the whole song, within just a matter of a few seconds. And so I definitely think, writers, all of us can receive divine inspiration like that. And all of the songs that have been the ones that really resonate with people over the years have been ones that were birthed kind of spontaneously like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I find it interesting that there are so many things like that, music or art or whatever somebody's, love interest is. It seems like a lot of it does come from a connected spot, and not everyone's always aware of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, there's that's part of a dream that I have going forward as I keep working with Judah, is to make music that has really high consciousness fields that really can take people into states of enlightenment and bliss. And I'm working some with FLFE, which is Focus Life Force Energy. And they assign they use quantum technology to assign high consciousness fields to properties and objects and people's cell phones, and they're also have experimented in doing that with music as well. So I wanted to work with them on assigning these high consciousness fields in a quantum way to a song or an album or a video, so that people enter into those bliss states as they listen. And I know your folks are already doing that when they listen to Robin channel Athena. We know that we're doing that, that we're opening up these really high consciousness fields. And I think we can do it even more intentionally with folks like FLFE.
Yeah. That's really interesting. So you said, was this about 6 years ago that this started for you? What was the first indication you had that something was coming to you in a different way than what you had experienced before?
Well, as a little kid, I had really transcendent kind of moments.
Hmm.
Um, as a young girl, going to church with my mom and reading the Bible and things like that. And I think I made a false correlation that the experiences I had were because I made this cause effect relationship. This experience that I'm having of being overwhelmed with bliss and love and joy is because I'm at church, or it's
Okay.
because I heard this message and so on. So now I have a much different understanding about it. But 6 years ago, after having lived this really a committed and dedicated Christian life for so really my whole life, and giving it my best Girl Scout try, my father dropped dead of a heart attack really suddenly. And it kind of started this downward spiral. I call it my Lemony Snicket series of unfortunate events.
Mm.
and and during that, I just somehow was coming into an awakening. And just realizing that what I was doing wasn't working. I was able to start questioning everything that I thought I had figured out. I was able to be more honest about myself, about what wasn't working, about the ideas and concepts I had, so taken on. And my dad died. I was trying to run his car business because my family was dependent on it. I was doing a really big codependent hero mom rescue for my entire family. I was still teaching school. I had two teenagers at home. Everything just went to crap. Just all fell apart. My marriage of 27 years fell apart. But it's weird. All in the middle of all that, there was just, I don't know, this feeling of life and freedom coming. Being open, reinventing myself. And so this has been a process of about 6 years of just really intense interior soul work and changing of my circumstances. Because we know changing your circumstances doesn't mean that you're going to get the work done on the inside.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it took a little while for my inside work to catch up with the outside changes that were happening. But anyway, about 2 years ago, three, I contracted COVID early on,
Mm.
got really sick. So in that 6 years, I had made a major transition out of teaching, out of Christian church, out of my kids left the nest. I was an empty nester. I divorced, then met my new partner and remarried. So major shifts on every front going on. And then with my new partner, I contracted COVID early on, and I was sick for 2 years. And
Wow.
there, everything, whatever was left was getting stripped, ego, just all of it gone. I really was useless. I couldn't perform in any way. I couldn't sing. I couldn't teach. I couldn't work. I couldn't cook dinner most nights or do laundry. I couldn't fulfill my wifely role. Everything was just gone.
Mm.
Everything that I took any sort of identity or worth from. And all I could do was meditate and meditate and meditate and meditate and meditate and listen to enlightened teachers and listen to enlightened channelers and listen to enlightened teachers. And at the end of that time, just really hitting rock bottom and just embracing it full on and surrendering. And that's when, about that time, one evening, my husband and I were watching another channeler, beautiful channeler, very similar to Robin and I. And my husband looked at me and he said, I think you could do that. And I said, well, I'm up for whatever. I didn't have any more opinions left about how life should be. And within a few hours, Judah was just barreling through. And I got a miracle of physical healing. The first time when I channeled Judah, from that point forward, all my physical problems disappeared that I had from COVID.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, my group's wanting to comment now, if it's okay.
Okay.
please. Mhm.
Generally, we wait a little bit, but listening to your story was so inspiring. And we really want the listeners to know that this dark night of the soul is part of the process when one is awakening or coming into themselves, you see. And it's almost as though, like you described, it is painful. There is a lot going on, but there is something within you that is like a smile within you that knows that the outcome is going to be safe, that it's going to work out, and that everything's going to be fine. It is what you are explaining and is what you experienced very much. So we just wanted to make that comment how similar paths are for those that are, if you are in relationships that are faulty and you are starting to ascend or awaken. Many times jobs, those marriages, those relationships with certain friends will start to end, and a human will get panicky about that because they are of the belief that everything should remain the same, that they should always have the same partner, the same friends, and that not realizing that as their vibratory level shifts and you get the upgrade, that all of those things shift along with it, you see. So we really want to make this plain and clear so that everyone understands when you are on this, we don't even like to call it a spiritual journey or path, when you're in your life that you are living, as you start to ascend or rise in your awareness of what you are, who you are, and why you are here, this is what will trigger or start to remove the things that are going to inhibit you from becoming the grander part of yourself, you see.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
really good.
Thank you, Athena. That's beautiful. I agree. And I would just add to that. It's interesting because I was writing with Judah this week about this dark night of the soul. I think there's a lot been encountering a lot of folks who are really desperate to help friends and loved ones and children that feel really torn apart. And Judah was having me to write about, I'll just let Judah respond here. Yes, yes, yes. We agree about this dark night of the soul. You see, the ego does not want to give up control. Your ego would rather see you dead than see you transformed and awakened. Yes. And we agree, this is an important teaching because there are many who are standing on the brink of a revolutionary awakening, but their ego would rather see them dead than to achieve this beautiful state of light and life and purpose. And so, yes, sound the alarm now for those who feel they are in a very dark, diseased place. We want to say, hold on. This is not depression. This is expression of life getting ready to break through your darkness. And so hold on. And do not give in when the ego tells you that it's hopeless or worthless or meaningless. This is a final frontier of the ego. Yes, this is the final frontier before you break into your awakening. This moment of meaninglessness and hopelessness, and embrace the moment and know you're breaking through.
We're going to respond to that. Why is awakening at this time so important? Let's go into that just a little bit so that people can really get the understanding of what it is that's going to happen as you awaken, and why are you hearing so much about it? As humans start to wake up, as they start to realize they are the creators of the lives they are living, that they are experiencers, that's why you are here. Did you know that when you do awaken to this understanding, to this I am presence, to this knowing of exactly what you are and what it is you are doing here, that there is no sense of time, there is no past or present or future necessarily. There is just this isness, this one place where everything exists at the same time. And as you rise in your vibratory level, all of your past, all of your lineage, all of your lives that you have ever lived will drop the cloak of what it is they wore. Do you understand what we're saying? Let us tell you what it is. That no longer exists. You have abolished it. It is gone. It is removed like a mark or a stain that was upon you. So not only are you transformed in the life that you stand in, you have transformed your entire lineage and every life you have ever lived. In that moment, all of it is gone. All of it is a new vibratory level. And this is the elevation that we are talking about. The power that one has is in their history. And in the moment that you transform yourself and awaken, You abolish that history, and it becomes what you now stand in the moment you are here. You see.
Uh, Angie, I have to just comment when you were just channeling a moment ago, and you were speaking about the ego would rather see you dead than transform. That really hit me in a very strong way. Lately, I mean, throughout my years, there's been things here and there that hit me that stand out to me, and I remember. And I just want to let you know that that's one of them that's going to stay with me. It was very powerful.
Good, good. And
Yeah.
we've run across a few young people who are being treated, in traditional methods and given medications. And some of these young people are highly psychic and intuitive. They have really extraordinary gifts, but because there's nobody in their immediate environment that knows what's going on with them and what awakening looks like and what the process of awakening is, these poor sweet ones are getting detoured in major ways into drugs and unhelpful help that's well-meaning but really misdirected, and it's really shutting down their gifts and their awakening, and that's one of the things we want to put out, the wake-up call. I agree with Athena, this wake-up call about what this dark night of the soul is, so that people can transcend that and know and rest and know, hey, whatever's going on with me is exactly what's supposed to be happening right now, and I'm just going to surrender to what's happening.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed hearing your what do you call it, rendition, is that the right word, of your life, of what went on, and how you really embraced that. I mean, you did it. I mean, a lot of people, it's very difficult to make those life changes and to feel confident enough to do them because the fear is there. But I think you would probably agree. I'd be interested to hear how your life is now that you actually, you had the marriage and you had the job that you left, you had your kids that you left home. I didn't have the marriage, but I had the kids leaving, I left the work that I, was doing. And so I kind of understand, to some degree what it is you went through, but I'd be interested to hear more about how that felt to you to actually do that, and then how your life feels now because of it.
Yeah, well, it's amazing because when I first met my new partner, my spiritual partner, who's been so key in all of this, and he would introduce me to channelers, I would think to myself, that is so bizarre. I mean, really, if I hadn't been so attracted to him, if he hadn't been my knight in shining armor in so many other ways, I probably would have run out the back door. But when I channel Judah, it feels so natural, and I'm sure Robin can relate, probably feels the same way too. It just feels so natural, like being in my own skin, like it's exactly what I was meant to do. And over a period of time, what Judah shared with me is that Judah is my oversoul, or my soul family. They are a collective of about 350,000 angelic souls that work together, and my soul, I'm one of them, and I incarnated into this lifetime from Judah, from my oversoul family. And so that's why it felt so much at home for me. It felt like the piece that I'd been missing my whole life. And I think for a lot of people out there that are struggling too, or just doing, I just remember having this thought so many times in my past, I don't know how to live life. And it was because I wasn't really living yet. Now I'm really living. I just feel like I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I had this, Jude will say some wild things and make some really big promises to people. And Angie thinks, ooh, I don't know if we can back that up, Judah. That was a little bit much. But you know what? I just keep trusting. I keep trusting. And Judah tells me to expect miracles. I think, Robin could probably relate. I think when you get into a work like this, when it shows up and it's so miraculous and so precious and so much bringing heaven to earth, you can't say no to it. You can't say no. You have to clear everything out of the way to make space for it. So, I've had to let go of just, all the stuff, like I don't knit or crochet anymore. And I don't have the perfect, clean house, and all that stuff is gone. I've let it go because I've got to be present for whatever Judah wants to say and Judah wants to do, because Judah has said, go big or go home.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'll speak to, Robin might be able to relate to this. Somewhere in my process, I ran across Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who I adore. I personally think she's an enlightened being. And she talked about how in our menopause stage as women, we have an opportunity to be open to other realms, to the unseen realms, and to our psychic gifts like never before. And she talked about that and some other things she said. And I really tuned in when she said that. And she made a comment about menopause being a gateway to the other side. And I had been having hot flashes for a while. This is just prior to Judah coming. I'd been having hot flashes every night, and they were driving me crazy. And then when I read this passage by Dr. Estes, I thought, maybe this isn't just hot flashes. Maybe this is the other side knocking on my door. And sure enough, the next time I had the hot flash, I really nestled into it instead of resisting it. And now every evening when Judah comes around to channel, I catch on fire from head to toe. And if I didn't know better, I would think it was a hot flash. And it's not. It's Judah coming. So that might help someone out there. You know, because as women, when we reach this age, we don't have kids to care for anymore. So much of our life has changed. We're not caretaking so much. So we have the opportunity to really start growing. And also we have some life experience and wisdom to share.
Sure. Yeah.
That's a really interesting concept, because
I thought so.
I was so wanting to get rid of them that I didn't really ever give myself a chance to experience them. I just thought, oh, this is terrible. You know, when you would get a hot flash, it'd wake you up at night. You have to change your nightgown sometimes. It can be so bad. But that would have been helpful to actually have embraced that and maybe tried that, because, you know, I think a lot of women really struggle with that and not being able to sleep. And again, I know that the wee hours of the morning, particularly 3:30, are really a good connecting time. So there's a good chance we're waking up for a reason. Maybe if I'd have gotten out of bed, it would have happened sooner. I don't know. But thanks for sharing that. That's a very interesting concept.
Yeah. So Anjie, you said that you were Christian primarily most of your life.
Yes.
Can you explain, because I know that there is a struggle between people who have a very strong Christian faith and someone who's into channeling or spirituality. How would you say that someone could be okay with it all, you know, not feel like they're having to give up one thing to embrace another? What would you have to say about that?
To embrace it all. Yeah. Well, Judah would like to answer that. Well, if you look carefully at the life of Christ, he was always rocking the boat within the religious tradition. He was not a go-along at all. He was turning over tables or rebuking or questioning. He grew up in a sect of the Hebrew faith called the Essenes, and they were the rebels. They were constantly provoking the religious institution. And so we would say, don't be afraid to question, and to trust your gut instinct on things. You see, there are layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of mental conditioning put upon you, not just by the culture, but also by religious thinking. And parents make a huge mistake when they assume that they know what is best. And so they indoctrinate and cover up the souls of their beautiful children with these layers and layers and layers and layers of religious thought. And this is very damaging. And this includes also New Age traditions, also have religious tendencies. It's an us and them mentality, us and them, us and them. And each thinks they know it all. The New Age community thinks they know it all. And the Christian community thinks they know it all, and so on. And what we have taught this vessel very plainly is it is better to be agnostic. Ag means I don't. And Gnostic means no. I don't know. I don't know. You see, you don't know what God is like. When you sit in the presence of Athena or of Judah, you get a glimpse of the majesty of what God is like, whatever God may be. God is just a 3-letter word, G-O-D, but I will tell you that your concept of the word itself has absolutely no representation of the reality of what God is, you see. And so us and them, you must get rid of it. And you must say, I don't know. And to those who think they know all about what God is, and even the Christ, we would say, has been gravely misrepresented his heart and his true nature, and the creator from which he came. And this is a great grief and a sadness unto him to have been so misrepresented. So if you are a Christian, we encourage you to go back and only look very carefully at the red word letters of Christ, only the words spoken by him, and disregard much of the rest. And allow yourself to say, I don't know. Become open. For if you come with this mindset that you know it all, no matter what tradition you are from, Christian, religious, Muslim, Hindu, New Age tradition, then you are in pride, and then there is no way that we can reach you with something new and transformative. And so even an atheist many times can have more possibility of being touched by beings such as ourselves. But we encourage you above all things never to harden your heart, but keep your heart soft. We call this one the vessel. There is a reason we call her the vessel, because she understands that she is nothing more than a very simple, like a wooden bowl, something plain, nothing needed, only that she be willing to be a container for the essence of glory and beauty and life from beyond. Only a container, that is all that is needed. No mental concepts are required. They are, in fact, simply rubbish in the container. Rubbish in the vessel, rubbish in the vessel, rubbish in the vessel. This is what we want, is to get rid of all the rubbish in the vessel. So it is simply empty and can be filled with enlightenment.
That's very good information. Thank you. Robin, I was going to talk to you today about your artwork. We haven't talked. A lot of our viewers don't probably even know that you paint and that you used to make some beautiful glass artwork. And I was wondering if you wanted to just talk about that a little bit, and if you felt like that was, what we asked Angie, if she felt like her music was coming through her, and was that kind of the experience you had with the artwork? Did you see it as a form of channel?
Looking back at it now, at some of the things that I've created, I noticed that they're very busy. Like in the beginning, when I first started doing it, it's like you put everything on the paper, and sometimes less is more. In art, it can be that in music. My son's a music maker, and sometimes he would make these really detailed songs that would go in a lot of different directions with a lot of different melodies. And not that they weren't good, but I feel like a human sometimes wants to hear that same beat over and over again. It's something they can rely on, something that they can kind of relax to and get into. And if it's changing too much, it requires some effort. And when you're trying to relax, you really don't want that kind of effort. And I kind of equal artwork like that too, but I find it really funny now that I look back. I've realized that a lot of that outpouring was just a lot of stuff that's in you. And then it kind of evolves and changes as time goes on. So it's kind of very similar to the awakening process, even, as a human, how little by little, as your consciousness rises, you just turn around and you start to realize that, hey, that doesn't bother me anymore. Oh, I lost that prejudice or that way of thinking. It somehow just went away. I didn't do it. I didn't, in the beginning, when I first got on the spiritual path, I thought, I've got to do it. I got to study. I got to meditate. I've got to read everything I can. And I got to be something better than what it is I am. And the most pleasant surprise to me was, and I think you were kind of referring to that, Angie, in your channeling with Judah just now, is that you're just a tool. You're a human tool for your source to run through. And, you don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to do everything up to some certain standard and you don't have to modify and change yourself to suit everybody. There's going to be people that really like being around you, and then people that maybe fall away from you because their interests are different or their belief system is different. And so that's kind of how I would explain the artwork. I feel like I'd like to get back into that. I've been busy with other things. I have 2 new grandchildren now, so I spend a lot of my time when I go back to the Pacific Northwest with them. But and my son was actually living in my art room for a while because he was making a transition from where he was going. So it got taken up by a sleeping quarters. But now that's kind of ironing back out. So I really do want to get back into that when I get back home.
Yeah. And I know our listeners probably can't see very well, but on the wall behind Robin are a couple of her artwork pieces that she's done. She has a lot of beautiful ones. I keep encouraging her that she needs to take them out into the world because they are really, really neat.
Thank you, Heidi.
Yeah. Yeah. So Angie, how did your family and friends receive all of this? And how in the beginning and now, like, how has that gone for you?
Mm-hmm. Well, my new husband's been incredibly supportive. He is a really masterful healer. His passion is spiritual acupuncture. I don't think I could have grown as quickly and gotten through as much transformation as I did without his support. My kids have been really open. They're all adults. They've been very supportive. They were my first guinea pigs that I channeled for them. They've been terrific. My mom is elderly. She's in a nursing home. We really haven't had much conversation around it, but just to say, she's a born again Christian. She has been a woman of faith in that tradition her whole life. But I just shared with her that I work with angels, and she seems to be at peace with that. I try to just let angels and the angels that I work with and people's discernment kind of help them sort that out. We have to vet, different people that work with us and around us to make sure that they're going to be okay and bring in the right energy and level of acceptance to the work. But so far, I have not run into any big roadblocks at all.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah. It's always nice to be well received. That's a good thing. I'm going to ask you both the same question. We'll start with Robin. What's your favorite part of being a channeler? What has been the best thing about it?
Being able to have an interview like this or have a session and not worry about it. It just flows out of you, and it's something like you can always count on. You never have to wonder, you don't write anything down, you don't think about it, you don't practice anything, you don't worry about anything. And once you've built that trust, after you've done a number of sessions or interviews, you just go in there with your glass of water and sit down and just allow it to happen. And in that allowing, I'm just kind of noticing that filtering into the rest of my life, getting the understanding. I think we had a conversation the other day, my husband and I had watched some other videos from other channelers about people have to really get okay with the lives that other people are living, and whether they be in poverty or pain or sickness or really wealthy, whatever it might be, that we don't know what their past lives were. We don't know what their soul's journey is. So just to be in respect of that or in compassion of that. Not everybody wants to jump in and manipulate it or change it, or they get a cause going and they think a cause has a good reason. And the training that I'm getting from the group that I channel is that there is no time that opposition is ever going to win you anything that you're going to be benefiting from. So it's not that you don't have compassion for people that are going through difficult things, you do, but you also, in that compassion, you just allow them to have the experience that they're having, and you understand that, this is the way of things, or how life is really. And so the more I do that, the less opposition I have in my own life. I just feel like life could be so easy. And if people really think about how many things that they oppose and what they listen to on the news and the conversations that they have with other people about things that they don't agree with, and they don't realize the harm really that they're bringing or doing to themselves when they spend their life force energy in that way. You can only really focus on what it is that you love, that you want to add to the world, and how you would love for things to be. And that's the biggest addition that you can make. You're never going to get there by opposing anybody or anything.
Okay. And how about you, Angie? Same question. What's your favorite part of being a channeler?
Well, I think it's just that deep peace that comes from knowing that I'm finally, after 50 years, doing what I was put on the earth to do and being my true self, being my true self. It just feels so wonderful. And who wants to go back, right? And it's also a wonderful feeling. I feel like that now, as I'm doing this, there's no possibility that I would go back. I have this feeling that I've left behind everything that didn't work for me, everything that I wasn't meant to do, and I'm just in my own skin. And I agree with Robin, for me, being taught by Judah is so priceless. Like everything they teach me is such a treasure. And I just want to be a really good student. And I feel like because of the relationship I have with them, they give me some sort of a supernatural grace to be a good student and to actually apply and live everything that they are teaching me. And so it's such a profound, I know it's a gift for the people we share it with, but it's such a profound gift for me. For instance, Judah had been talking with me about the power of imagination a lot recently, and I've been doing channeled writing around that. And last week, a couple of weeks ago, my mom is newly in a nursing home, and the vibration of that place and the frequency is really, really low. It's extremely difficult. A lot of people, as Robin said, they are kind of all living their own journey, and some of them are kind of in a hell of their own, mind and their experience. And I went in to visit her, and man, it was tough. It was like, walking through mud vibrationally. And there was even a woman shouting and saying, I'm on fire, I'm on fire, and I'm on fire. And I just thought, compassion rose up in me. I thought, wow, some of these people are really suffering inside. So anyway, her roommate was watching really, really dark, negative murder on television, turned up really loud and ranting a lot. So I was able to, with this grace that we have, to shift the atmosphere and have a really good visit. And when I went home that night, I thought, this has got to change. My mom can't be in a room with this energy. And so it's that moment. I know Robin has them all the time when, we have to live what we're being told. We have to live it, right? And so I spent a few minutes doing what Judah's taught me to do, which is imagining and going into this magic of our imagination. And I just imagined that this roommate moved out, and I just imagined myself blowing on the room and her just moving out and all of her things and all of her energies. And I wasn't wishing any harm on her, only blessing her, but just wanting her to be out of my mom's space. So the next day I went back to the nursing home, and, there again, my ego wanted to step up and say, okay, I'm going to go and talk to the administrator because my mom cannot be in the room with this person anymore, and I, not realizing I'd already done the work. I did what she told me to do. It was done. So sure enough, I walked into the administrator's office and I said, is there any way we could have the roommate situation change with my mom? She said, oh, well, let's talk about it. And she tapped on her computer and she said, oh, wait a minute. She's leaving today. She's going home, and the driver's already been ordered. And when I walked down to my mom's room, all the roommates' things were packed up and she was ready to go. And I was able to wish her well and congratulate her on going home. And my mom finally had peace. And since that time, she's been in her private room. So, it is such ease and grace and flow, and we don't have to work for things, and they can just come to us, and we can just attract them, and we don't have to use our mental capacities. We can just surrender and let life flow and do what it does, and expect miracles to happen. And they do when we can let go and allow them. Like, I love that Robin keeps saying allow. I need to tattoo that on my forehead. Allow.
Well, the group is just wanting to comment a little bit to you. Yes, Angie. When you speak of peace that you are in right now as being one of the qualities or the things that you like about what it is you are now doing, what really occurred is you became satisfied. And what does that mean? The universe loves it when someone chooses themselves, when they decide to go in a direction of their own joy, of their own happiness. This is a life that was already created by the suffering or the things that you were going through in your life. It was all there waiting to flow to you. And the minute you decided to choose yourself, when you decided to become satisfied, I'm going to have the life that I want to have. I'm going to move in the direction. It's not an easy choice for a human to make because they have this fear, they have this unknown, these things that are holding them or tethering them to a life that is not satisfying, we would tell you. And so one of the biggest things that we feel in you is, and we know it is what is causing your peace, is that you are very satisfied with the choices that you made, with the decisions and the moves and the choosing of yourself that has now created this wonderful passageway to the life. And this is what we want humans to really understand, that this wonderfulness, this magic, and this satisfying life, it's already there waiting for you. It's waiting to flow to you. But until you choose it, until you decide, I am going to choose me, I am going to get that life that is in my escrow. Your energy is yours. Did you know that? Every single emotion that you have, every feeling that you go through, none of them are good or bad. They're a charge of energy. And all of that energy is stored within your energetic field. It belongs to you. So when you decide to put your plug in the wall and fund yourself with what it is you have experienced, the energy that is in you, it all comes rushing in your favor. And what do you get? You get satisfied, you get peace, you get happiness, you get the mate that you really want, the life that you really want, the profession that you really want. This is how you get it, you see. You cannot get it in your fear. And why are you feeling fear? Because fear is letting you know there's nothing good here for you. You are not going to tap into satisfied as long as you stay in the fear state, you see.
Yes. Angie, would you like to ask any questions of Athena? Do you have anything that comes to mind?
I will. And I wanted to first say thank you for that. Oh, such a blessing, such a blessing. Thank you, Athena and Robin. I love that. One of the things I want to share before I ask a question, and actually I would just say I will receive anything Athena has to say to me. I'm open, wide open. I don't want to narrow it just to a question, but I wanted to share this real quick, just as a prompt in response to that. Some people also listening today may really be struggling financially. I know as a young wife and mother, there were times, my husband and I were doing our dead level best to provide and working so hard, just working ourselves to death. And I would look in the fridge and there wouldn't be any food left and no money to buy groceries. And I know there's probably some people listening that struggle financially, and they hear about the law of attraction. They think it might be true, but they're just still somehow trying to work harder, do more, put in more effort, rather than this allowing. And what I wanted to share for that person is I also received a miracle on that front. I literally have millions of dollars at my disposal now, and I did not work for any of them. I did not work for any of that money. I actually attracted it after decades and decades and decades of struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle. So I wanted to just share that. I don't normally ever say that. I feel self-conscious about saying it, but I think there's somebody out there that needs to know that what Robin is saying and Athena is saying is absolutely true. You can just allow wealth, provision, and security to come into your life. You don't have to put in effort. The only effort is to surrender and be more of your true self. And the money literally just comes. You just attract it out of nowhere. And that's been a real thrill and fruit of this spiritual journey for me as well. And I don't think that the two are separate. I think they're very, very much connected.
Yes.
Thank you for
And
that.
and I'm happy to hear
Is that the
anything
question?
Athena has to share.
Did you have a question, or was that the question?
Let's see. Yes. How can I let go of the last bits of attachments of worry to my children and grandchildren?
Yes. Before we touch on that, yes, we just want to say that your story was wonderful to hear, and we hope that those that are listening receive it in the way that you have sent it. But we also want you to know that it didn't come from nowhere. It came from your energy. It came from your experience, not in this life, in all lives. It's all in there. It is all part of the lineage, or part of you, what it is you have experienced, what it is you have contributed that has exuded this energy that now you align to it, and it shifted into the positive form of money. You see, this is what a human deems as positivity. They like the money. So this is how you got it. Yes. So we just want you to know that you earned that money by the life experiences you lived, not only in this life, but in many lives prior that you probably have no remembrance of, you see. Now, ask us that question. Oh, the worry about the children. Yes,
Yes.
let's go to that. Robin loves this one because she's a worry wart. Not so much anymore, because we have assured her, yes, that you are never, hear this, going to change or prevent an experience that is going to be experienced. So you may as well just enjoy the ride. You may as well enjoy those grandchildren and children in every moment that you have, and know that whatever experience is coming or comes to them, that it is needed, that it is adding to the whole, it is adding to them. And there is nothing that you are ever going to do that is preventative, that will stop that, other than rob yourself of the joy that you could experience in the now moment as you are experiencing it, you see. So our greatest advice to a human would be, even in your own death, why worry about it? Why contemplate it? Why wonder when it's going to be, when perhaps it is already predetermined and you have no input or part in it, you see. The best thing that you can do is live a life of joy, a life of alignment, allowing, and peace. And in this way, you are contributing to all that is, and to the future lives that you will live, this vibratory level, which will yield to you more joy, more peace, more satisfying and happy lives, you see. Does that help you?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay.
I appreciate it so much.
Robin, would you have anything that you'd like to ask Judah?
Yes, we haven't talked about this too much, but I have, from time to time, even though I have the Athena Group, which is a conglomerate of a number of beings that we don't bother to name anymore, I notice I get a lot of kriyas. Like I had a Kundalini rising in my 40s, and it gets active now and then, where there's lots of facial contortions, expressions, lots of thrashing around in every direction. And whenever I have a new being entering, that's when I really get an uptick of it. So I'm kind of going through that right now. So I just wondered if there was anything that your group would like to comment on that, or if there's any help that could be offered in that area.
Yes. Well, yes, dear, what we are doing is we are filling every cell of your body with photons of light energy, and sometimes your body will have some responses, and this is normal in light of the amount of light energy you are channeling. And so don't be alarmed, and receive it. And the shaking, quaking, twitching, whatever it is, you may rest and know that you are being lovingly cared for and watched over. And we are currently doing for you and some others some evolutionary changes to your physical structure to be able to carry and disseminate larger volumes of white light energy. And this requires some upgrades and some shifts in your physiology. And so rest and welcome and be at peace. and your precious ones, your team, they are watching over your physical welfare. Rest a lot more even than you think you should, and drink lots and lots and lots of water, and allow this vessel to tell you about supplements that will support what you are encountering. And there will be a time when the physical adjustment is complete, and you will be channeling even, we will say, more volumes of white light energy. It is like upping your amperage. An outlet might be a 1010, but it can be upgraded to a 220. So there is an upgrade like this happening for you from a 1010 to a 220. And there will be the transition time, and then it will be over, and you will enter your new normal, which is of course not normal at all. And it will be wonderful, and you will enjoy it.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. It's pretty much the same intuitive feeling that I have. It's really funny how much humans are like computers, that you store all your painful emotions and painful pain, in your subconscious, and it's very much like getting a computerized upgrade. Like your system can't hold what it is that's trying to transmit through it, so it's like it has to open more channels. So there's a lot of like jerking and different types of kriyas and things like that go on, and you just feel very compelled to go in and lay down and allow that to take place. It's like something's instructing you, it's you doing it, but you don't know why you're doing it. You just do it. It's like you follow the path that you're on. So yeah, that was very helpful, and it's very similar to exactly what I assumed was going on.
Good.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of strange kind of physical phenomenon going on, and that's probably one of the biggest opportunities that are being presented to me now in the work, is navigating those. But one of the things that I've found that's been a huge resource for me is my friends at FLFE are helping to add layers of protection for the work that I'm doing. And that's really helped because I'm not hearing the negative thought forms of others. I live in a really busy city. There's probably hundreds of thousands of people in a 5-mile radius of me. And sometimes I would just be bombarded by their thought forms. And it could be, just real upsetting and difficult. But anyway, the FLFE layers have really helped a lot. And also they have a page on their website. I'll send you the link if you want to drop it in your links. They have a page on the supplements for people who are doing work in high consciousness fields. And so I've really added on really heavy amounts of magnesium, as much as my stomach will take, and some other amino acids. And that helps when you're channeling so much white light energy through your body. It protects the myelin sheath around your nervous system, so that you can withstand it better. Because I was having a kind of phenomenon where my nerves would be, not nerves as in anxious, but my nervous system would be so exposed. I would stumble or bump into walls, or kind of lost my spatial orientation a lot. So I had a lot of that for a while. And the supplements are helping a lot with that.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah. I find it interesting when I listen to like your stories about, Robin, when you're speaking about the energy and the movement, and even things you shared, Angie, because a while back, Athena said, humans need to realize that they need to plug in, to their source and connect to that. And when you really do that, you can really feel that energy running through you and kind of almost rejuvenating you if you allow it to. So I think that's important for people to know, that because we are in hectic, busy lives, just taking that time to sit down and connect yourself, actually envisioning, like Athena said, plugging yourself into your source.
Exactly. Yeah, sometimes my teeth will vibrate, or I'll have twitching around my mouth that it looks kind of like tardive dyskinesia. And that's, one of the things Judah shared with me, is that sometimes people are being visited by angels and higher beings, and they're trying to speak to them and through them, but they get misdirected about what's happening, like out of fear. Like if they saw that going on, they might go to the doctor, and the doctor might say, oh, well, you have tardive dyskinesia.
Yeah.
And Judith's saying, no, it's not that. It's angels talking to you. So we have to really be discerning, about what's going on with us.
I would have been totally
Gonna-
not knowing what was going on. Like with my mouth would pull way to one side and the other, and like just all kinds of oddities would go on with my face. And if I had no spiritual background whatsoever, I would have thought I was getting like Bell palsy or some kind of weird disease or something. I didn't know what it was. I mean, I knew from my reading, and then thank goodness for the internet, you can kind of look things up and you can kind of figure out what it is that's going on. But I can imagine that if somebody didn't have access to that or had no background or reason to look, they might think they're sick.
Right.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, that's definitely happening.
Yeah.
And I think there are people too, not all, but some who are being diagnosed with schizophrenia and being put on really heavy medications, who are channelers, and they just don't have anybody around them that can explain, what's happening to them and let them know that it's wonderful and something to welcome and not to be afraid of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. So Angie, if people want to get a hold of you, if you want to just give us information on how to get a hold of you and what services you offer.
Sure. Well, we're at thejudahchannel.com, and that's JUDAH, thejudahchannel.com, and also the Judah Channel on YouTube and all the other social media outlets. And we have one of my favorite things is we have something called Daily Quotes, and it's free. And we have our team combs through all of the channels and finds those really golden nuggets that you just don't want to miss. And they put them in a couple of paragraphs, and every day you get one of those in your box. And I really look forward to getting up every morning and reading them. We also I have a book out called The Answer to All Your Questions, the First Book of Judah. And the thing that we're most excited about is our True You Accelerator course. It's a 10-week course that talks about so many of the things we discussed today. It's basically a course for expanding and really accelerating your awakening and enlightenment process. And it features over 300 pages and 10 hours of video and teaching and loads of channeling. We had Mark Twain visit us. We had Helen Keller. Dr. David Hawkins was one of the beings we channeled. The Buddha was a visiting channel. So we had a lot of really cool folks show up for that. And I also, of course, do personal sessions. But the main thrust of Judah is not to tell anyone's fortune or give them winning lottery numbers. It's for awakening and enlightenment. It's for your own personal journey, wherever you feel stuck or inhibited or unhappy or resistant, to get that supernatural word of wisdom that you need to get unstuck and get moving forward.
Yeah, that's funny to hear you say that, because it's funny to hear you say that because I think very early on when I first started doing this, somebody wanted me to find their purse, and I said, that's not what they do. They're very much into like helping you, assisting you get the life that's already there for you, to hear them tell it, and to really help you expand your consciousness and your awareness. And congratulations on your book, by the way. And I got one out too. Mine just came out March 1st, so I'm excited about that.
We'll have to trade. If you'll read mine, I'll read yours.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's called Choose Your Universe, an exercise in freedom. And so it kind of goes through the basics. And Heidi and I are also doing a course. She's in the process of writing that. And it's kind of the really basics of getting you on track to getting that life that is already waiting for you to claim. And so we're excited about that. And I also do sessions at athenaintruth.com. We have our YouTube that we do regularly, both with guests like you, and then Heidi and I also do some sessions together. And I do a regular podcast, and those are kind of just inspired by everyday issues that people have or things that happen in the lives of others. And it kind of, it's funny. And I think I heard you mention earlier, if people could really understand how important asking is, because the universe really wants to deliver something. It's just a regeneration machine. It wants to answer what it is that you're asking for. And so whenever a problem will arise, whether it be with a family member or a friend, and I'll be thinking in my head, I wonder why is that going on, or why did that happen? And the minute I start that asking, I can just feel the regeneration coming, from them. And then right away a podcast comes out, or a future YouTube idea or something like that. So that's kind of how those are born in situations like that. So it's, ask is the number one message I would
That's
say.
right. Just
Because
ask.
you don't ask, you can't receive.
And forget. Yeah, just
Yes.
ask. And I really encourage, one of the things I was writing with Judah about is what Judah called the satsang strategy. My husband grew up in through the 60s of the revolution with Ram Dass, and he lived with Osho, Sri Rajneesh for many years. And that's a great privilege, if you have to sit at the feet of an enlightened being. But we have that privilege, so I would encourage you to be listening. If you feel a connection to Robin and Athena, and what Athena says really resonates with you and shifts your energy field upwards, whoever we have these gorgeous enlightened beings. They are so profound. They can be our gurus. We can sit at their feet and really be transformed. And and Judah just encouraged it in the course. Spend 6 months, get connected with the one that you really resonate with, and spend 6 months listening to everything they have to say, reading their books, taking their courses, listening to their channels, and just really drink in all the goodness that's there, and it will transform you. These beings do have messages that can really transform our lives if we're good students and we're faithful to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah, I really agree with that. I did a little bit of that with Joe Dispenza. I had the books on repeat for months until I finally got to a place where I felt like I could keep that level of connection. So yeah, I agree
Exactly.
completely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking with you. We've really enjoyed having you on the show,
Having me.
and we hope that our listeners enjoy too. Thank you,
Yes.
everyone.
Thank you. Lovely meeting you, Angie. Thank you.
Thank you.